Hello, hello, my dear friends and family. Starsky joins the chat. I'm sorry for being 2 minutes late. Happy New Year, everyone. And I'm sorry, I will be munching on yogurt here because I'm as hungry as a crocodile. Okay, no, I didn't fall asleep, I swear. I literally woke up like half an hour ago. How are you guys? If you have time before stream, watch Greg Terry. I will. We have a New Year coffee talk tonight in case you feel abandoned or simply lonely or simply don't know how to waste a good holiday. Welcome to our stream. Always a pleasure to see you here, my friends. Happy New Year, everyone. Landos, hey, Steve, and DK Art and Design, and Russo Jap, and Nine on Planet, and everyone else. It's so good. I had sushi, all right. I'm not celebrating alone. And fermented fish flavored yogurt. Actually, this yogurt is very good. It's yogurt with orange, and it only expired yesterday. It still tastes very nice. I checked. It's still consumable. I'm not celebrating alone. Actually, I'm celebrating with my lady. We had sushi, but apparently because my Deutsch is sehr schlecht, is not that good, and apparently because that Vietnamese cook has apparently the same problem. I have no idea. Instead of the big portion of sushi that I ordered, he cooked like the tiny one, all right? And that is why I'm literally starving. So I immediately before the stream started, I decided to prepare myself yogurt with orange. Plus, I don't want this yogurt to spoil completely. Again, it expired like yesterday or 2 days ago. Yeah, but I realized that in case you woke up and went outside and saw some kind of shady guys wearing masks trying to snatch your Vietnamese neighbors, probably it's a wise idea to literally protect them at all cost, because they will save your life. It's like New Year's Eve evening, like 7 p.m. and the Vietnamese place is open because they don't care. They're just there, right? Same, for example, with Muslim guys, like those racists say, like Muslim invasion of Europe. If you find yourself early in the morning, all right, hungry and sad in the German downtown, the only people who will save you from starvation will be probably the guys with opened kiosks selling kebab that will only cost you 10 to 12 euro, and they will be the only ones who will save your life, which is why I absolutely love those people. So New Year is, especially in Germany, is a time when everything is closed. I believe it will be closed for several days. The only places open will be Vietnamese and kebab places and probably police stations with a bunch of depressed cops inside. Let me have a spoonful. Oh my god. I hope that you have a much better New Year treat than me. Tell me, how you're celebrating. The streets are literally burning outside. Everyone is shooting. Everyone is detonating those the fireworks. Kebab can solve any problem, absolutely. Generally speaking, if you are depressed, if something happened, right, if you feel bad, all right, get yourself kebab and it will make you so much happier. Any apricots? I have pears, but I don't have pears. Those are my lady's pears. I kept them in the fridge for her for the whole month. And actually, I shaved today because she arrived finally. Yeah, and I wasn't shaving for the whole month. How cool is that? That is why we need somebody, all right, in our life to make sure that we don't completely degrade, all right? Wish more cops were like you. Oh my God, that would be a disaster, actually. One thing that I know is that you can Google that. According to different studies, there's a lot of psychopaths actually working in the police, which is not bad. Which is completely not bad, which is actually something very, very good. And this is something that actually make law enforcement much more effective, because me, for example, I cannot stand, like when people start crying, saying, oh, please don't arrest me, I have 10 kids and stuff. I cannot stand that. I start crying myself. And psychopaths, they just don't care. Okay, rob the bank. Please go to the police car and accommodate yourself. Did you shave everywhere? I kept the hair on my legs because it's kind of cold these days. Wait a minute, someone was playing games. Yeah. I'm just playing games. What kind of games do you play? Let me know. Because I opened my Steam and I realized that I didn't open anything since like early December. Neither Starfield nor No Man's Sky. I didn't even play my Microsoft Flight Simulator much, which I wanted to play since last week, because they published several cool updates. Yo, Happy New Year to the beautiful Bulgaria. How am I? I'm fine. I will be munching on yogurt and have a conversation with my internet family, all right? I'm playing Fallout 76. Iran is on fire, big uprising. Yeah, I've heard about that. There's currently... are you a pilot? I am virtual pilot. Technically I can fly, but you wouldn't like to give me control over an airplane, even in case of emergency. Because the number of my landings in Microsoft Flight Simulator is slightly, but lower than the number of takeoffs. That is why I wouldn't trust myself either. Speaking of... wait a bit. Starsky is a vampire. I don't remember how we came about that, but I remember it was on a live like 6 months ago. Vampire... Oh my God, I don't remember what I did yesterday, frankly speaking, so I don't know. Crimea is on fire too. Yes, we will talk about that one as well. Again, Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you for your wishes and congratulations as well. Please, if you're using Substack, check out my Substack on Substack. where I will be posting shit because apparently I'm sleeping too much, all right? So I decided to deprive myself of a couple hours of rest and start the Substack just in case, all right? Just in case. Speaking of Iran, yeah, the thing is that the prices started growing like crazy and they have this enormous inflation. And people are asking what the fuck. And people who ask what the fuck, the government says that those people are American puppets. Basically, like during that previous uprising, when people went on the streets and started demanding some kind of responsibility for after killing that poor student, all right, they started demanding responsibility from the Iranian government for doing that, all right. And all them were immediately proclaimed America's puppets, all right. All those people on the streets. But that's like a normal thing. If you check out what the Russians do, that's basically Russian playbook, I think. For the last time, there are no vampires. I haven't met one in all my 700 years. That's really cool, right? Vampires actually look very young, very young. Me, for example, I look extremely well as for my 18 years. So, love your shirt. Thank you so much. Yeah, the previous message that I just said, all right, I literally sound like Trump. Okay. I passed medical tests. They were the best tests in the world. I have the best health, all right, among the international leaders. Jesus. I don't see your face in the camera shot. That is because I am a former military. We're very, very good at, blending with the background. Hello to my cousins in Köln und Aurich. Oh, nice. That's so cool. So many people there, like every single time I have a stream, I can see plenty of people from like Köln, Essen, Nordrhein-Westfalen in general. Yeah, but for some reason we never meet, right? I think we gotta change that. I think we gotta have some kind of beer session. Regards from Colombia. Oh my God. That's so cool to have people from like around the world and have a good conversation. Yo, Sword of Wisdom. New Year to you too. Yo, Katya. Katya, I think she literally hates me right now because she's like, Starsky, bro, seriously, get some life, alright? It's New Year. People celebrating. I would also let you celebrate, Katya, but you know that I need your company so much. I cannot imagine any stream without my dear moderators. 2026 is Visit Australia. 2026? I thought it was 2027. I wrote something in 2027. Oh shit. I am so stupid because I sent a message to my friends congratulating them with 2027, wishing us plenty of good news in 2020. Seriously, wishing us plenty of good news in 2027. May the holiday lights burn bright like Ruski refineries and golf carts. And nobody even noticed That is so cool. Let me just edit it real quick because that's kind of cringy. 2026. All right. Oh my god, 2027. That's a time machine right there. Way ahead, way ahead, my friend. 2027. The CIA now rejects Putin's drone claim. I see a story, CIA versus Kremlin, who will win? That's a good question. We love Düsseldorf for Little Tokyo, I agree. I found a really nice place in Düsseldorf where they have this sushi conveyor, all right, like sushi train. And that's one of my favorite places. It's in the downtown, you know, where they have that Saturn or Media Markt, somewhere there. You just sit behind the table and there's this sushi train. You just open your beak and snatch on and munch on it. But oh, thank you. I love the shirt too. I wouldn't have it if not for my woman. All right. We were talking about Düsseldorf. Yeah, but I love Düsseldorf and hate it at the same time because traffic is absolutely insane and there's always nowhere to park. Even in those underground parkings, I scratched my car like several times already. So Düsseldorf ist sehr schön, aber sehr stressig. Oh, okay, sehr stressig. Yo, Terry! Oh my God, it's so good! It's so good to see you, my friend. Terry Vivchar, my good friend from Canada. We messaged each other on Facebook since I don't know, since I had hair. All right. So good to see you, my friend. Happy New Year to you and your loved ones. Will Starsky's girlfriend ever join us on video? I believe after regime of Khamenei in Iran is down, I think she will. I think she might. Did you get any Nürnberg Lebkuchen? Not yet. Maybe in 2027. Will Star... yeah, we saw this one. Best sushi is unagi. That's something I cannot understand because a lot of my friends, you included, everybody loves unagi. I'm not the big fan of them. I don't hate unagi, but at the same time, you had hair. Yeah, not necessarily there, but I did. But I prefer classic lachs, salmon and tuna and seaweed salad. That is literally me. I don't like to experiment with different sushi. I know that if it tastes well, all right, I will have it. And also Philadelphia rolls. I didn't see that much Philadelphia rolls, for example, in Germany. In Ukraine, they are extremely popular. California, Philadelphia rolls, they're very, very popular. And is that what she's doing now? Well, we all pray, all right? We all pray. Always, don't worry, my friend. You are not really late. I only started eating my yogurt, and I won't end this stream before I finish. All right. Happy New Year, by the way. I wanna see Starsky with hair. Just a second. I will give you such a chance. Let me scroll back all the way to 1985. I think I had it somewhere. Okay, that's me like 20 years ago, still without hair. What the hell? I had it, I swear. I will show it. I will prove. Maybe it's not here though, but since I was challenged, I gotta show the confirmation. Okay, that's like me, 15 years old. What the hell? Where's my photo? Where did it go? Okay, guys, excuse me, but I need to find this one. Just a second, all right? Don't run away. Yeah, one thing I noticed is with the age, we act weird, you know, like every single time you stand up or sit down, you go, you know, as if you're like 88 or like 95, which I'm not even that old, I'm only 40. Okay, friends, since we are gonna share, you know, like family photos and stuff, I think it's a good idea to show you something else. So, that's my favorite guy over there, by the way. Like the bald one. I have so many pictures of Putin on my all gadgets. You know, if I was ever stopped, for example, somewhere by some Ukrainian cops, all right, or any other proper cops, and they checked all of my gadgets, I have more pictures of Putin than pictures of me and my lady, you know, and that would be extremely suspicious. If I was a cop stopping somebody with such a huge collection of Putin's pictures, that would be extremely freaking suspicious to me, all right? So here we have, specifically for Elidia, here we have a picture of me with the hair. And I had some kick-ass hair, for real. And basically then I joined the army, and I lost it, all right? I had some kick-ass photos to share, but where the hell are they? No idea. Crying Putin, laughing Putin, pooping Putin. The hell is that? I gotta clean my stuff. Yeah. Yeah, so for a while, for just a short while, right, I also spent couple months, all right, working with our X-Men, all right, there in Ukraine. The hell is with those, like, those? I didn't know I look so weird when I wear my super costume. Yeah. But again, because of financial crisis and everything else, basically I lost my job. Yeah, here's another one. There's another one. I lost my job and I had to spend a couple of years literally sitting at home doing nothing. All right. Jesus. Yeah, that is so cringy. So, That's basically, I don't know, I wanted to use that on some of the avatars, all right, in social media. AI gone wild, absolutely, absolutely. Sometimes you just, randomly generate something, and you have amazing results. Yo, JD, thank you so much. Yeah, I like this one too. I would never wear anything like that. That is why the only thanks. Yeah, thanks. I also think so. Some of the superhero costumes are extremely kind of strange. Take a look at the Superman. Why the hell does Superman always wear his red underwear on top of his pants? It's still a mystery to me. Yeah, that's what we call it in our part of the world. Happy New Year! Yay! 2026. Again, thank you for the reminder, literally. I congratulated my friends with 2027. What's wrong? I am too wasted, ignore all of my comments. My friend, I will demand you to comment more, alright? That's a bionic camel toe. That's like... Remember we talked about the Russian martial arts, those secret techniques, contactless combat, all that shit. So, one of them, the dude who practices vibrational combat, that is what they call it in the entire Russia. I think I showed it even. So he says that he conducted a research and he found in the museum, for example, right? He noticed that the medieval armor always has some kind of bulging stuff, all right, like on the pelvis, some kind of bulging armor there. And he started asking the tour guide and stuff, and they told him that, again, this is Russian guys on the internet, all right, speaking, professors of bullshit. So the tour guide told him that every time a noble knight would go into the combat, he would have like a boner, all right, and that is why they would specifically make like a bulging stuff, that bulging armor down there to accommodate a... What the hell is that? Yeah, and he started like developing this idea. So basically, I believe that all sorts of Russian historical insights, all right, all that stuff is basically made after 3 liters of very bad vodka or maybe a window washing liquid, and they just invent shit like that because he concluded that people like the noble knights in the medieval times would always have a boner while going into the combat. I tell you that I've been couple of times, all right, times I've been to the real combat, and I tell you that not only you don't really have a boner, but your rear part is like very, very tight. It turns into like an atom, all right? Not even mentioning like a boner or anything else. But Russians, we all enjoy, all right, watching their martial arts and all that stuff, and I hope that they will make more content of that sort, because that is something that makes me happy. Cod piece. I had cod, by the way, a couple of days ago. It was really good. Saying your Aslan shirt. You can literally cut nails, all right, with that stuff. But why would you do that? That's a different question. Happy New Year to beautiful Ontario. Everyone, please send one cheeseburger to the manga Mussolini. Please don't, because every time he has a bad cheeseburger, he comes up with something absolutely cringy. And frankly speaking, I am so tired from reading all that cringe in his social media. The Russians are freezing. Yeah, and we are still not eating our hamsters. You gotta eat your hamsters, my friend, because Russians will be envious. Do we wanna check out some of the updates? Please let me know if you feel like we will talk about it, because I have some cringy stuff to talk about. But if not, let's just enjoy our chatter. Starsky needs music in the background, freezes and doesn't blink, so I keep thinking my internet quit. I agree. I think I will find some kind of copyright-free stuff, and I will have music on my streams, because it's actually a pain in the ass to play anything during the live streams, because immediately you get either hit, all right, punished, or they just cut a piece of your audio completely. Americans support Ukraine, our president doesn't. I know, my friends. Thank you so much. And please don't be upset, all right, upset about that stuff, because Ukrainians understand this. We all understand that you should not expect much from the officials. You should more rely on common people, all right? Because I don't even know who provided much support to us. The common people, of course. The common people provided much more support to us than governments. First of all, because governments provided support based on taxes, all right? That's one thing. And also, there were so many volunteers, and still are so many volunteers that keep supporting Ukraine with all sorts of humanitarian aid, drones and stuff like that. Who's your favorite rock band? Oh, I have a lot of favorite rock bands. It depends on what kind of rock. Cannibal Corpse is absolutely amazing band. Discarnate, one of the cool bands that I discovered several years ago. Yeah, it's very, very nice. The common people volunteered to fight in your army. Yes, exactly. Pantera. I agree, Pantera is so good. It's midnight somewhere, absolutely. I actually, I wanted to stream a bit earlier, right? But for obvious reasons, because my lady arrived and we had sushi and stuff. So I had to kind of delay just a bit. Sepultura, I agree, but there's a tiny caveat to Sepultura. The new Sepultura is fine. The old Sepultura is kind of also fine, but Max Cavalera sucks my balls. And I will explain you why. Because Max Cavalera is married to a Russian woman who got him addicted to Russian Orthodox Church. And very, very often, for example, when Max Cavalera plays somewhere with his fucking Soulfly or whatever, sometimes he says shit like "Go Russia, Crimea is Russia" and stuff. That is why Max Cavalera died to me, alright? In like 2014 or 2015, Max Cavalera died to me. If you like those bands, check out Neckbreaker. Okay, let me make a highly technological screenshot of that. All right, I'll save it. I'm a huge fan of the Buffalo hardcore band Every Time I Die. Have you heard Propane? That one is really good, especially their music video, The Death Wish. That one just, it rocks so well, oh my god. Didn't know that he sucks. He really does, and he's not the only one. What's his name? Fred Durst, for example. Same shit. He likes to spend a lot of time somewhere in the terror Russia, alright, he has a lot of friends there, but on the other hand, when you look at Fred Durst, you can immediately tell that he's an asshole, right? So, women around, yes, that's the reason. You should always have someone around, alright, because they make us better. They make sure that we look properly, that we don't look like, homeless people. Like Putin. Putin is homeless nowadays, alright? He lost his freaking palace to an imaginary drone. And by the way, speaking of that, thanks to Ali, by the way, I acquired this beautiful map. So Russians decided to draw a map of Ukrainian drones that allegedly attacked Russian dictator's house right here in Novgorod Oblast. They claim that in Novgorod Oblast they destroyed 41 UAV, all right? And this shit, unfortunately, I cannot tell you who prepared this map. Most probably someone related to like their Ministry of Defense or whatever. But the fact is, they were reporting 18 drones flying over Novgorod that day. And at the same time, not a single fuck was given about it that day in like their airports or whatever, because not a single airport was closed due to that attack, which is something they always do. Well, you know it yourself, right? But it's just something very, very cringy. They claim they shot down 18 drones, then they claim that they shot down 91. Seriously, Lavrov said that there were 91 drones involved in the attack on Putin's palace. And then they say that they shot down 41. Does it mean that 50 drones reached the target and nobody had a phone to freaking record that stuff? Russians are just so trustworthy. They always mean what they say. Yeah, this news update was actually very interesting because the New York Times reported that United States Navy were pursuing an oil tanker, Bella One, and they stopped pursuing it as soon as a Russian flag emerged on this tanker. Okay, which is actually a very good hint, for example, for like drug dealers, okay, gangsters and stuff. If you don't want to be pursued, if you don't want to be arrested, literally wear Russian patch, all right, and you will be fine. United States will not, will not do anything. They will just let you go. And if they were like red hat, they might also like shake your hand. It's now listed in the Russian ship database. Yeah, that's a Russian Shadow Fleet tanker. And at this point, I don't know the details right now, but as of this morning, that tanker was still under diplomatic investigation, all right? A diplomatic investigation, meaning that the White House tried to understand if they can perform a traffic stop, all right, with this tanker. Russian military sucks, but their misinformation, fortunately, is very good. Yeah, I agree on that. On one hand, it works mostly on like imbeciles, all right? When you read Russian misinformation like that, all right? 91 Ukrainian UAV attacked Russian dictator's palace because there were 18 UAVs, but there were 48, all right? And when you read all that stuff, if you have at least a bit of IQ and you finish at least elementary school, you just laugh because it's freaking ridiculous. But unfortunately, not everyone, as it turns out, has graduated, all right, from elementary school. You got me through my darkest days of desperation. You did, my friend. I didn't do anything because if I said something that could inspire or motivate you, that's literally because of you, all right? Because I am motivated and inspired by people like you. That is why I should say thank you, all right? Which I do. Probably not as many times as Ukrainian president thanks Donald Trump for his support of Ukraine and huge aid. And every time Trump calls President Zelensky, for example, dictator, blaming him for starting the war, President Zelensky, with his enormous patience, all right, that I can only envy. He says, thank you, every single time. Yeah. His patience is amazing. I can only admire that. Plus, you know that I am not a fan of President Zelensky. I didn't vote for him, even. But those qualities that he demonstrates, they are worth my admiration. Will Russia be crushed in 2026? Russia will start to collapse in 2026. That's something that was predicted by people who know what they're talking about, by economists, by different experts. And if you want to be smarter, you gotta always listen to people who are smarter, all right? That is why I always learn from you, my friends, and that is why I also learn from people like economists, all right, people who understand the world of finances, because that is something that is absolutely unrelated to me and I have absolutely no idea. That is why I am subscribed to a bunch of communities in Telegram, for example. Usyk, what did he say? What do you mean? What did he say? Did he say anything new, or did he say something long time ago? I know what he said long time ago. Don't worry. Don't be that critic to yourself, my friend. Did you make any New Year resolution for 2026, like quitting smoking, swearing? I am so much afraid to do that because that's like in the court, all right? Everything you say can be used against you. I already failed twice, all right? With vaping, with swearing, and I don't want to look ridiculous anymore. Zelensky is a proper war president, half diplomat, and proper hard-ass Ukrainian. Yeah. Next in line would be even harder. I've heard some prediction that no, Bambi, you're not banned. You're not banned, and I don't believe you were. I don't believe that Zaluzhny will become next president, because there were already like different predictions. But one thing I will tell you for sure, most probably President Zelensky would not try to run for the presidency one more time, because being Ukrainian president freaking sucks. Again, look at all Ukrainian presidents. Okay, the first one, Kravchuk. Let me just grab my vape. The first one was Kravchuk. Kravchuk was a professional communist, okay? Professional communist means that he finished the Soviet political school. That's basically the school where they teach you how to lie, how to bullshit people, all this stuff, how to spread misinformation. It was a Soviet school for diplomats, which was tightly connected to KGB and all that stuff. Usyk said, don't push the horses. Yeah, now I understand where it originated. So Kravchuk was kind of dismissed because there were a lot of uprisings, among Ukrainian coal miners and coal miners, right? And I think he was dismissed in like 1993 or 94. And basically, he was the one who actually let Ukraine, get stripped of its nuclear weapons. Then was Kuchma, fucking assassin. He killed he killed journalist Gangadze. The journalist who was decapitated, all right, because the journalist was investigating President Kuchma's corrupted rings. So Unfortunately, he wasn't dismissed. Unfortunately, he was changed, all right? So he went all the way until the finish of his presidential term. Then there was President Yushchenko, who was fucking poisoned, all right? And he was poisoned by combat chemicals. Which country usually poisons other people with combat chemicals? By the way, such an interesting question. So, after Yushchenko, which by the way was kind of good choice for Ukrainian people compared to fucking Yanukovych, because Yanukovych not only was involved in that poisoning, but he also stole our votes, all right? And the court confirmed that he stole our votes. But at the same time, when somebody steals your votes, usually he fucking goes to prison, all right? Usually jail is the proper place for this individual. Yeah, it was considered to be dioxin. Yeah, that one. So he didn't go to prison. Instead, he was elected as the next president, and basically, you know the story. Revolution of Dignity, him fucking fleeing to the terrorist federation. Technically, gunpowder is combat chemical. Technically, yeah, I agree. Technically, yeah. But is it chemical weapon? That's the question. Then was Poroshenko, who tried to solve all that stuff, war-related, Russia's hybrid war, occupation of Crimea and Donbass. And then President Zelensky, boom, you have the full-scale Russian invasion. So being Ukrainian president actually sucks. It's not like, spending time at the golf field somewhere. No, it's a bit more complicated. Going to Rostov-na-Donu is similar to going to jail. To some extent, yeah, because going to Rostov-na-Donu, first of all, you gotta be very stupid to go to Rostov-na-Donu. Why? What's the point, all right? What's the point of, for example, robbing people? I believe that only stupid people would do that, all right? There's many ways to earn more money in less dangerous way, all right? If you are smart, if you have at least some kind of basic education, which is something that actually makes European people great, American people great, people with education, people with at least some kind of knowledge, all right? If you are too stupid and too lazy to acquire that knowledge, yeah, you go on the streets and you do some crazy shit, and then you go to jail. Basically the same story with Rostov-na-Donu. Why would you even go to Rostov-na-Donu? That's insane. Zelensky has nothing to complain about. He has villas, Lamborghinis. At least that's what the Russians said. Yeah, he has at least two yachts. At least two yachts. He has Adolf Hitler's car that he's, I don't know, maybe he keeps it somewhere under his bed because I haven't seen it parked in front of presidential office in Kyiv in my entire life. I've been there, by the way, if you want to know, many times when I served in the National Guard too, actually. No, not in the National Guard. After the beginning of the full-scale invasion, yeah. So when I served as a cop, we were deployed to the presidential office actually many times. I know that area. First, I was observing all that from this side of the barricades and shouting, "Cops, what are you doing?" Then after a while, I was observing it from the other side of the barricades and shouting, "Guys, what are you doing?" It was so fun. Yeah. Ukrainians are really cool. Ukrainians, it's like, did you enjoy being a cop? I really did. Being a cop is like, for example, when there's a protest, some kind of violent protest, for example, and there's a bunch of people like running at you with some baseball bats or some sticks, and you also have your stuff, your stick. Yeah, and they run at you with those sticks, shouting "Slava Ukraini," and you like start like beating each other, shouting "Heroям Slava," all right? They shout "Slava Ukraini," you shout "Heroям Slava," and you beat each other. How cool is that? That is absolutely beautiful. You will not see anything like that in any other country. Gunpowder is made differently today. Yes, because we prefer the non-smoking powder in most cases. I actually asked my doctors if swearing in Polish was permitted. They answered in the kurwa affirmative. That's good to know. Yo, Happy New Year, my friend. Being cop is fun. I did it 13 years. Whew. When I talk about being a cop, my tiny, humble experience of like 1 year and something. 1.5. 1.5 years. Yeah, so my experience looks absolutely miserable, all right, compared to any other experience. Even though after that I joined the National Guard, which is technically also military power and law enforcement at the same time, just like in Carabinieri in Italy or gendarmes in France. Hello, my friends! Happy New Year to you too. And swearing in Australian is mandatory. That's so cool. Were you a beat cop, investigator, and interrogator? So let me explain this a bit more. But my experience as a cop was not as much related to investigating crimes on the streets, patrolling, traffic stops, etc., because we had patrol police in Ukraine. And they did all that. We were involved mostly in the anti-terrorist operation in Donbass, where we also had to use all those skills, to utilize all the skills that the patrol police has. But we had a bit different task, and that is why, for example, our battalion was called a police special force battalion, all right? Because we had some very, very specific tasks related to countering the Russian terrorism. I talked about that in numerous streams. We have occupied territories, we have checkpoints. There's huge flow of cars, we have to filter the traffic. Yo, New Year's rocket. Yeah, I really wish we will see something like that, actually, even though, the strike didn't happen, but I really wish we will see that. So, returning to my tiny experience, all right? This experience, compared to my military experience, I would say it was much more rich, all right, much more rich than my following 9 years of service in the National Guard, because the National Guard is a military force. It's controlled and supervised by the Ministry of Interior, but we have artillery, we have tanks, all that goodness. And Starsky clean-shaven New Year, New Year and the same lady, that is, which is a good tendency, by the way. So even despite National Guard is still like military force with law enforcement functions, there's different units. There are literally only combat units, like my brigade. There are units that help protect embassies and diplomats. Then there are special force units. Then there are mass security units. The guys that literally enforce the patrol police, all right? Again, just like gendarmes, just like carabinieri, just like National Guard in European countries. So that's what we were doing. But my specific brigade, again, because all the brigades are different in the National Guard, my specific brigade was very much like other combat brigades, like Azov, like First Presidential is... It is involved in combat nowadays, but back then it was mostly like mass security, all right? Public order, that's the word. And there are like several of those brigades. Currently, there is the so-called offense guard is formed. Offensive guard. Assault guard, all right? So those are, I believe, 13 units in the National Guard of Ukraine with the only task of taking part in the deflecting of the Russian full-scale invasion. They are 100% combat brigades, just like mine, just like the Hostomel brigade. And if you accidentally want to support my brigade, please check out the link in the description. Those guys require a car, and that's the main topic of my fundraiser, so please check it out. Returning to service in the police, the reason why it was so rich, all right, to me. Does Ukraine have brigades on border with Belarus? We have brigades armed with artillery there, and we are observing that area very, very tightly. Hello, my friends. Thank you for joining us tonight. So, service in the police, to me personally, was extremely interesting. First of all, because it's not only we not only had the same duties as patrol police, only in the area of the anti-terrorist operation. We're talking Kurakhova, Krasnohorivka, Marianka, Piski, all that area, okay? Verkhnyotoretsky, where else? Basically Donbass. But also we were involved in the anti-terrorist activities, and also we were enforcing the army guys that were deployed on the positions. So whenever they needed some kind of support, we would be there. And for example, in Krasnohorivka, my battalion participated in the clearing operation. So basically, part of Krasnohorivka was so-called gray zone. There was never a Ukrainian cop spotted, all right, for almost a year. And nobody else. So the people would just, manage themselves. And 50... Wait a minute. That was... not 53rd and 54th Brigades. We were with them in the National Guard. That one was... I forgot. But it was a brigade of the armed forces of Ukraine, and they had the special force company, and my battalion together with that company, my police battalion together with the company of the armed forces, were basically clearing the gray zone. So we moved in, we made sure that there's no Russian fox, and if there are, we would make sure that they would become better, all right? Because the cemetery was just right there, all right? And we took control over the rest of Krasnohorivka together with the army guys, all right? We were blocking the perimeter. So I was literally standing there with my guys, and we were providing the control of the perimeter while our platoon and their company were clearing the area. So we had functions like that. Whenever we're in Kyiv and we have some sort of, I don't know, let's say free time, all right? Free time to spend. Pisky is right next to the airport. Yes, my friend, that's in the airport, and I still have a picture from that place somewhere. Actually, let me see, because I still have something to share. Okay, is it here or not? So whenever we have some, let's say, free time, and we have, my God, all this advertisement. Why? I didn't ask for it. All right, I didn't ask for it. .com, please. We would be involved, for example, in enforcing the patrol police. So we would be helping either them or we would also participate in the public order measures. All right, cemetery in the Krasnohorivka. South of Krasnohorivka, there was this big cemetery. And this big cemetery was actually a pain in the ass, because Russians would always use this area to sneak into the Krasnohorivka itself. So one time we had a shootout there with my battalion, when a Russian sabotage group decided to sneak in, and we actually had a tiny contact with them there at night. Okay, so I shared this one with myself. Freaking cool. I accept all the cookies. I swear my life. Don't do this to me, all right? Yeah, this one, for example. Let me share it with you, my friends. This one is... God, how the hell do I open this stuff? Okay, I will just freaking save this as an image. Okay, I'm saving this. I promise. Save image. Yeah, save. For it. If I'm gonna make an operation system, all right, I will make it fucking easy. Share and receive, and that's all. Why do they always make those things so complicated? You know what is the most complicated device on Earth? You wanna know? That's like when you buy your kid a smartwatch, in order to always stay connected, all right, with GPS and stuff like that. Fucking registering this stuff, activating this, setting this up, it requires you to have a degree in like IT and coding and HTML programming. This is so crazy. You have to install 500 different apps, register everywhere, and make it work somehow. I'm sure that all the parents there in the chat, they also experienced this shit. You literally, at some point, I would prefer literally hiring somebody, paying some dude who would set all this shit for me. So it's that desperate. Yeah, but returning to Pisky, that's basically me, and behind that house, that is 2015. Behind that house, 300 meters further, there's Donetsk airport. If you walk into one of those abandoned apartments, from the other side, you could see the Donetsk airport from the balcony. Yeah, so that's the kind of experience we had in the Pisky. I still have like a screenshot from that area. Like I was with my tablet and I made a screenshot just to just to remember, you know. Yeah, there it is. I would never do that crazy shit, you know. In other case, yeah, but it was kind of fun. So many messages. Oh my god, pictures, messages, WhatsApp, Telegram, holy shit. Yeah, unfortunately, all that area is currently temporarily occupied by the Russian terrorists, as we all know. Yeah, but if you look a bit to the south and to the left, all right, in the lowest left corner, so that is Krasnohorivka right there, like a river. That's Krasnohorivka. That's where we primarily operated. Can we see your baby pictures for a New Year's present? As you wish. I have a proof that I was a baby. All right, I have a proof. I can prove it to you. I think you already saw those pictures because I showed them multiple times. But yeah, there you have it. And don't say that I didn't warn you. Yeah, so that's me as a kid. As you can see, I had hair. And I made all the local girls my age suffer, all right? I really did. And also, I think I also showed you this one. I had a kick-ass car. Like no one else had such a car. All right? That's also me. And that is actually my uncle's car. Yeah. And yes, that's Lada. You look like this guy who was a security guard who sold me an Xbox years ago. He was Polish. Yeah, I'm not surprised. What else? I don't know. What else can I impress you with? I've no. Oh, this one is crazy. This one is crazy. Just a second. Yeah, this one is really crazy. Again, confirmation that I had hair, and I'm even holding a hairbrush, which didn't work at all. It couldn't manage, all right, all that hair. So I had a lot of it. Yeah, and then at some point I lost it. Then at some point some freaking duck settled on my head instead of my hair. I have no idea. I don't know what this picture is. Don't even ask me, all right? I refuse to comment on this one. That is literally kachichka huyachichka over there. Kachichka huyachichka. How to translate this to you? Do you have a slang word to describe the process of working hard, all right? To describe the process of how to say? Okay, this is a language barrier right there. In Ukrainian language, when we work really hard, all right, we call it fucking. So sometimes, all right, so we call it fucking, and I'm fucking with this computer, all right, like that. Working ass off, yes, exactly. Thank you. That was the one that I was looking for. So also in Ukrainian language, we say huyachity, and you probably understand that the word huyachity slightly reminds you of the word huilo, right? Of the name of the Russian president. And the reason for that is because it's like a full word. It's we say huyachity. How to compare it to, like, you could say, I'm involved in this fuckery with setting up the server, all right? Or you can also say, I'm involved in the cockery of installing this server. So the word huyachity is basically the same root. It has the same root as like cockery. Let's call it this way, right? I'm not sure if I'm inventing something. And Kachichka is literally ducky, the little duck, all right? And Kachichka huyachichka was basically my totem creature for a while, because I was literally, busting my ass over all those projects, and that is why I had that creature with a suspicious man growing out of it. That's something to remember. Oh my god. That is literally years before, my god, that is year before the Russian hybrid invasion, before the Crimea annexation and all that stuff. Slovak people are very hospitable and pretty open people from my experience. Yeah, Slovaks, Czechs, they are very, very kind and friendly. That's what I noticed. When you boost in your ass, I give you a pointy stick to push it. Yeah. So chicken came before the Starsky. Well, it's still a question whether it was a chicken or an egg, because on this one, for example, you can definitely tell that there was an egg. But who was first, that's still a mystery to me. I'm glad I showed up late, but fear I'm gonna get tossed out. But it's very good to have you here, my friend. It's very good. In France, the word Putin or Putin is a swear word. In Germany, Putin is literally a turkey, all right? When you go to a grocery store and you see a bunch of stuff on the shelves, that's among like farsh, among the ground meat, you can always see a bunch of Putin meat, all right? Putenfleisch. It tastes not bad, by the way. I cooked some Thai rice with Putin. Didn't taste bad, actually. Yeah, was nothing like, I gotta finish this yogurt. It's spoiling as I'm talking to you, my friends. This yogurt will become alive in a while if I keep running the stream like this. I'm a verbal textile hooligan. Yeah, I respect such people. Tastes like chicken. You mean yogurt? Kinda does. No, generally this one tastes fine. Like it expired on 30th, and surprisingly, it's still okay. You're still eating that? Yes, I'm still eating it because I'm talking. All right, like the whole purpose of stream is literally to talk, not to eat. That is why I gotta find consensus between the two. Guys, let me know what you're having right now. My favorite food is sushi, 100%. Salmon, seaweed, all that stuff. Besides that, I can survive on spaghetti for months. Spaghetti alone. And believe me, I tried. I had a bet with my friends. I ate spaghetti for a whole month. Spaghetti with cheese, spaghetti with meat, spaghetti with fish, spaghetti with spaghetti. Yeah. As a German, I call him Putler. Brigade, don't you sleep? Yet. Or already. Yeah, surprised to see a lot of my German friends and family here in the chat, because it's like 3 a.m. in the beautiful Deutschland, right? Espresso martini. What time is there in your area? Because I would not risk to have espresso martini. On the other hand, like I have like a huge dirty cup of coffee without milk. Toasted cheese and onion bread with lashing of butter. I literally had a sandwich with butter and Apfelmus. Very, very good Apfelmus. Did you have panettone when in Italy or Colombia? Yeah, or Colombo. No, no. In Italy, in Italy, I literally spent all that week munching on pizza because pizza was so good in there. Pizza and fish and seafood. I remember we went to this amazing restaurant in Positano, I think. On the was it Positano? On the shore, there was like an open air restaurant. The time here in Sweden is 3:11. Yeah, we are in the same time zone. So 3 p.m. in New Zealand. So you mean that we have 12 hours of difference? Exactly. That's crazy. That's like exactly the opposite side of planet. How cool is that? And we ordered seafood, we ordered pizza, I think, and they brought me like this huge plate of stuff. Do I have it on my phone? If I do, I will share it with you because it was so nice. So it was like July 24. I guess. Yeah, so this is Putin. Why the hell do I have so much Putin on my phone? I gotta do something to this, my friends. It sucks. So, this is August, this is July. That is me and Brandon. Why the hell are we topless? I have no idea. I didn't even drink that much. Okay, that's me in the Pompeii. It was raining. It was really cool. And where the hell are the oh, I have photos of sushi. Sushi. Okay, Pompeii. That's Pompeii. I think I didn't take a photo of that seafood in the restaurant, which is actually a crime because I always take pictures of food, okay? So, but it was really nice. It was a really cool experience. Let me show you at least something, okay? So that is a beautiful Italian shore, the way I remember it, all right? That's Salerno. And before this one, like the last time before I took this picture, last time I've been to Salerno when I was 11 years old. It was just so good. The place full of memories, all right? So that is Salerno. What else? Where the hell is my seafood? I cannot see anything. I have like a bunch of bodies, all right? Cemented bodies from... Oh, I found it. I found it, my friends. You are lucky, or I am lucky. I don't know. But look at this goodness, all right? Look at all this stuff. You can see shrimps, you can see squid, obviously. There's a bunch of different fish. I'm not sure what they call it. But that was my snack in Positano. And it was so amazing. That is like that open air restaurant. Some Russian family was sitting next to us discussing how to launder money, how to fuck up people, you know, like usual Russian tourists. And that is the place itself, all right, from the mountain. We spent like half an hour climbing down that mountain. I've literally no idea how people live there, and especially people of age, because you can imagine that hill that is full of like those tiny houses, tiny streets, houses, people living on top of their neighbors' heads, literally. And we were climbing down, like we spent 1 hour going, to the shore. And when we reached the shore, my lady, her ankles were like this thick because they inflated, because we could barely walk. And I'm thinking, how the hell do people live there? Because, for example, climbing up the stairs all the way would probably take me 1.5, 2 hours, maybe, with like stopping, all right, to take a small break. And imagine if you're like 85, and then you climb up the stairs in order to buy bread or milk, all right? You climb up the stairs, you spend like 3 hours to just climb up the stairs. And then you go to the grocery store and go like, Giovanni, I need milk. And Giovanni is like, yeah, sure, it's like €2. And you're like, shit, I forgot my wallet. I'll be right back. And then you climb all the way down, all right, to get your wallet. And then you climb all the way up, to get your milk. And Giovanni is like, I'm sorry, we're closing. Yeah, that's a shame. That's very, very steep. Seriously, I didn't expect it to be that steep. Actually, there's like a hiking path. It's called something like hiking path of gods or something. Something like that. I have no idea. But I can't imagine how literally people live there, and specifically people that are like 50, 60, 70 plus. That's absolutely crazy. There's no way to use a motorbike because there's literally no streets, just stairs, all right? So there's no way you can even use a motorbike or a scooter or a horse or I don't know. Swollen ankles and bruised hands don't show up on MRI. Insanity is revealed on TV. Yeah. It was insane. And I have never seen things like that because my lady, she likes to walk. She can walk like for hours. And her legs literally were like this. We went like that to Germany. Pompeii were also good. But the coolest thing, I will show you. I have a different picture. So the coolest thing is this one. We went to pizzeria, and pizzeria, I think it's called Gary's Pub. Something tells me that this place is famous. And in that pizzeria, we had this goodness. So over there is my pizza with mushrooms. Over there, there's like a vegan pizza with mushrooms but without meat. For my lady, it's fresh, it's hot, the weather is also hot, the music is playing. In Gary's Pub, you can imagine, for example, Queen, Deep Purple, stuff like that. And you simply sit, eat your pizza and enjoy. And I will show you exactly what I was enjoying while eating this pizza. So you can see all that literally from that terrace, all right? While sitting behind the table and looking downstairs, that's exactly what we could observe. So that was just so cool. And speaking about that steep descent, all right? I made a photo for you. So you can tell already that it's steep, right? Now, look at this. That's the way this descent looks like. That's what it looks like, all right? Just like stairs between those buildings going into the abyss, going all the way down. And there were a lot of old houses. For example, like this one. Okay? And it goes all the way down. And oh, I can see my house. Yeah, and on one hand, of course, you can say, well, but it's a descent, nothing special, right? You're not even climbing up, you're just going down. But trust me, like 1 hour of just descending down those stairs, it was a good workout, actually. At some point, yeah, imagine just carry food home there. Imagine building a house in that area. Imagine delivering the building materials, all the construction stuff, like bricks, like concrete, all that shit, wood planks, 2x4s, all that. How do they even do that? It's crazy, I have no idea. Plumbing issues, yeah. And you gotta have some kick-ass pumps in order to pump the water. On the other hand, of course, they might be using the water coming from the mountains. They have plenty of those aqueducts, especially there, but moving a piano, yeah. Imagine that. A renovalist's nightmare, yeah, absolutely. So those people deserve my full respect because I literally have no idea how to do that, all right? Ukraine, for example, is flat like a pancake, and there's, central and like southern and partially eastern. So you don't have to bother much. Even Western Ukraine, when you go to the West Ukraine, there are mountains, there are hills, but still, like nothing special. It's not like Himalaya or something, but this stuff over there, that's insanity. And people live there for centuries. So that's something absolutely crazy. That's some of the memories from my trip to Italy. Beautiful Salerno, Positano. It's insane. No, Cheryl. It wasn't Sicily. It was Salerno, outskirts of Naples, all right, Napoli, that place. And also I was extremely lucky to go to Pompeii because Pompeii, I always dreamt about it, I read about it, and it was like my dream come true. Okay, Naples is very big, Duncan, very big. Pompeii is also huge because the town itself that was discovered, it's so impressive and they keep excavating it. So it's already the size of a town, all right? Like the whole area discovered was the size of a usual town with thousands of buildings. And they keep excavating everything. So that was such an experience. Again, we spent the whole day, literally, since early morning until the very evening. Yo, Disco San Andreas, hello my friend. Hello, Happy New Year to you too. we're talking about Italy, all right? There's place in southern Italy, western Greece, where people look at you like you're an idiot if you talk about cars. Cars don't steer well. Yeah, I can understand, because there are places where you don't even understand how people can commute. That's the word. Pompeii. I will show you just a few, because you can easily see Pompeii on the internet, whatever. But yo, thank you so much. Happy New Year to you too. So good that you joined us. So that is one of the places over there. All right, it was raining like crazy, and behind my back you can actually see the cemetery in Pompeii. Why it's so special? So usually Romans would burn the people, the bodies, all right, the deceased. They would literally burn them. But there was a guy, I think one of the mayors or politicians in Pompeii back in those like years, like 2000 years ago, who actually was buried instead of being burned, and his body was discovered. And yes, those are the sculptures of people. Absolutely. They made sculptures of the politicians, sculptures of rulers, sculptures of celebrities. They had a lot of that. Instead of having, like this mainstream Instagram, they would just build statues and sculptures. All right, like your some of your acquaintances, for example, like your girlfriend, all right, from a different town, sends you a letter made on papyrus or like on a stone table, all right, a stone tablet, saying, "Can I see your photo?" All right, this is the way the Instagram Messenger looked back in the days. And she sends you like this stone tablet saying, "Can I see your photo?" And you're like, "Yeah, sure." And you take your sculpture and send it to her to a different city. And it was 3D. 3D, my friends, not even like today. In Pompeii, they burned the dead for a while. So the dude who was buried, I think the reason he was buried was because he wasn't a native guy, all right? He wasn't a native Roman. So he came from some other place, but he was a rare case of a dude who was considered a naturalized guy. So he was from a different land, he got naturalized in the Roman Empire, and he became some sort of politician. Everyone respected him very, very much. And then instead of burning him, they buried the dude in the tomb. All of those private letters were quite raunchy. Yeah, I agree. But I will show you something absolutely different, and you're gonna love it. So, we went to the brothel, I mean in Pompeii. all right? We went to the brothel, and in the brothel, I hope YouTube will not destroy me for this, but in the brothel there were all sorts of crazy images, all right, that's like preserved. That's literally from the brothel in Pompeii. And the brothel itself looked kind of strange. I mean, they had tiny rooms. So if you want some kind of privacy, okay, you have like tiny room, like 3 square meters max, and only like a rug instead of a door. I know that guy. Yeah, that's my neighbor Valera, actually. So they had just a rug instead of a door, and whatever sounds or smells, were produced in that brothel, they were shared, right, in that place. Tiny, tiny rooms where people would do their things, okay, and that was interesting. Like, you're literally there spending time with a lady, and you can hear all the guys, because their rooms are just over there, like 2 meters away from you. That was strange. But on the other hand, for example, they had public toilets, and men and women would use those toilets simultaneously. And they would just like sit down and discuss things while, taking a dump. How crazy is that? The proper term for that is ancient cultures depicting fertility rituals. Something like that. That's the scientific version. Who needed porn sites in those days? Yeah. Because when you go to a porn site and you see like a topless lady, yeah, like it feels good. I agree. Back in those days, you saw them every day. Like, nothing special about it. Like, again, difference in cultures spread over thousands of years. That's something absolutely incredible. Also, I wanted to share this one because, oh shit, this one will definitely get me banned because this is a picture of a dude with like the biggest ding dong in the Roman Empire, and that was literally a painting on the wall. I wanted to show you something different. Where is it? There it is. All right. This one is actually cool because that's like the advertisement on the wall that was made 2000 years ago. All right? Literally, when you look at the Latin letters on the wall, which, by the way, look as if they were made, a couple years ago. So you can read them, you can understand them if you have some basic knowledge of Latin. You can understand. That's basically advertisement. You can literally read those letters. How crazy is that? 2000 years ago. And it's so interesting that, for example, Pompeii, the place where you live today, whatever town it is, whatever city it is or village, it has its own history, and most probably you have a bunch of streets named after some people, all right? And if you take a look at the backstory, all right, at the story behind those names, you may probably find some information about those people. That one, for example, was a duke, or That one, for example, you live on a street named after a bishop, all right? Or you live on a street named after some famous merchant who would invest his money into development of this town or city or stuff like that. Or politician or whatever. Guys, imagine just for a second in places like Pompeii. There were streets that were also named after people that had a story. They were celebrities, all right? Like today, in Ukraine, for example, we have a lot of streets of like, or in Poland, streets of like Napoleon or Kennedy or Senator McCain, or they were celebrities. They were real people. I remember Senator John McCain myself when he was alive, right? And now we have a street of him in Kyiv. And in Pompeii, it was exactly like that. There were celebrities, there were fighters, all right, like gladiators. There were different rulers, politicians, singers, all right, dancers, actors. And they had streets named after them. And they knew about those people. Those people were famous, all right? And imagine how much history is literally lost because it's forgotten, okay? Because no one survived who remembers, who carries that legacy, all right, that history about the place. How cool is that? So that is something very interesting. Whenever there's some kind of excavation, whenever they find some old relics, especially old streets, old settlements, 100% that there were streets named after somebody, after people. And thousands of years ago, those people were important. They were part of this community, or they were part of the history of this community, right? Part of the culture. And people knew about them. They knew why they were important. And they just vanished. That is so interesting and so amazing, all right, about history, especially in places like Pompeii. John McCain was involved in pro-democracy initiatives in Ukraine. Yeah, Jason Smart can talk about John McCain. I remember when he described his meeting with Putin, he said, "When I look into his eyes, I saw only 3 letters, KGB. And it was just so good. It was back in those days, back in those times. Pompeii is cool. They found a lot of armor and swords there that they copied for the Gladiator movie. I didn't know. But they also found bodies. And the way the bodies were found, so they found a bunch of cavities, all right, in the ash. And when they poured concrete or plaster in those cavities, the concrete or the plaster formed the casts, or like the shape of the people who were there. I have it on my pictures as well. I can show it to you. It was insane. I have a coin that was minted on campaign by Marcus Aurelius to pay his army, 11th Legion. Whoa. Back in my days, I actually collected money, like the coins and the bills from different countries, and also the old ones. All right. So I have, of course, a lot of old Ukrainian money, old Soviet money, old pre-Soviet money, like from the times of the empire. And my oldest coin was some kind of ruble that was literally 18th century, 17 something, all right? You could read that, but unfortunately I left everything in Kiev. But I lived next to the tank factory, okay, the military factory. And back when I was a kid, they would bring tanks, for example, from the Middle East to be repaired or dismantled, whatever. And inside of those tanks, because they were just like open air, and we as kids, we could literally climb over the fence and go check them out, because who cares? You cannot just take a saw and cut piece of tank and take it home. So they were just stored outside. Nobody cared. All right. So we found a lot of money, and some of those money were Syrian. All right. So I have Syrian coins. I think liras or something like that. Can I recover it? I think so. I have like a tiny box with coins and with different like old paper money that date back to like 1915, I hope it's not lost. Putin is a хуй. 100%. It's like, it's not even a theory, it's an axiom. Yeah, but speaking about Pompeii, again, such an interesting feeling when you walk down those streets and you see, for example, that there were actually channels flowing down those streets. Like the street itself, all right? Imagine an ordinary street, all right, outside your window. Now imagine that the asphalt, the tarmac of that street is actually water, all right? And the only way to walk down the street is either on the sidewalk or crossing it via a tiny bridge. That's what it looked like in Pompeii. They had streets with water literally flowing all the way down, and the sidewalks where people would walk. That was crazy. What's the tattoo on the arm says? The sword arm. The truth is mightier than a sword. Veritas gladio fortior. I love the tiny bridge, yeah. Let me show it, because I think I took pictures of those as well. It's very interesting. The streets that I actually thought were like cobblestones, they were not cobblestones. Like they were cobblestones, but they were not for walking. And there were like stations, I thought they were made for horses. you know, to, for example, tie your horse to this station. It turned out that they were not made for horses. They were actually bases for the bridge. Let me see. Do I have an image of a street at all? I should have, because I think I made quite a few photos. I was looking at that stuff. That one, yeah, that's, for example, speaking of brothel, all right. Like, imagine yourself practicing fertility rituals, all right, in this tiny room with the lady. And outside this room, just like 1 meter away, there's the same room, like similar room, and there's a bunch of those, like 6 or something. And doesn't really look inspiring, you know. So I think maybe they just had a different way of percepting, you know, those physical relations, because they were just, okay, I have 5 minutes, let's go to the brothel, right? Let's do stuff and keep working. Maybe they were like that. This one is crazy. But again, I'm not sure if it's maybe like too graphic for the YouTube. I have no idea. I'm trying to find the picture of a street. I think if I... Yeah, oh my God, I have it right there. So, look at this street behind my back, all right? You can see the sidewalks on the left and on the right, and then you can see kind of cobblestones. So at first I thought like, all right, the cobblestones, all right, like you can drive horses and chariots over there, but it wouldn't be too wide. It wouldn't be wide enough, for example, for 2 chariots, I believe. First thing. And second thing, the cobblestones, they were not flat. The cobblestones behind my back, they kind of look flat, but down the street, they are like bulging, all right? They're bulging, and there's absolutely no way to drive over those cobblestones on a chariot, for example. The horse would break its leg, all right? So those were actually water channels. I am not sure. I gotta check it out. But judging from how polished those stones are, I believe that they were like water channels. And people would walk on the sidewalks, and in some specific places between those sidewalks, there are like pillars, all right, tiny pillars for the tiny bridges. And that is like one of the streets. It's just one of them. There's like a gazillion of those streets. Hello, Commander. Hello, Commander. Happy New Year to you too. Aqueduct is actually behind my back and like 100 meters away on the right. Because on the right, there's like a hill, all right? And the city goes left down the hill. There's a bunch of amphitheaters, temples and stuff. It's so cool to go there, literally. That was one of my biggest dreams, to actually go to Pompeii. That was a trip that I will never forget. from all that history, I made gazillion pictures. The fact that they discover apartments full of stuff and all the walls are painted. I gotta show this to you because, for example, you go into a house, you go into an apartment, and inside of apartment, you can see a wall with paintings, right? Instead of a wallpaper, of course. Like that. Guys, those paintings are fucking 2 millenniums old. And they look new, all right? They basically they basically look like like modern, all right? And the way they were portraying people, the shades, all right, the shadows, the lights, the proportions, it's so awesome. Do I think I've got Italian heritage? I have no idea. Considering that I have some, like just a tiny bit of gypsy blood, I think that I have Indo-Iranian, but a lot of Ukrainian people actually have Indo-Iranian roots. Basically like half of European population itself. So, did I tag it? Starsky was here. Yeah, with the marker on the wall. But yeah, again, it's so amazing that all that stuff was protected from light, from air, buried in the ash, and it was saved and preserved so well. This stuff you will never see in any other part of the world, all right? Except maybe for Egypt. But let's be honest, Egypt is like, it's kind of too mainstream, all right? Did you go to Herculaneum? Yes, I went to Herculaneum. That's where, I believe that's where they have the villa, right? Tell me if I'm wrong, or maybe it's a different one. When you go down from the Pompeii towards the Naples, there's this villa of a dude, very, very famous, very rich, and it's also well preserved, and they have a lot of insane paintings, all right, on the walls. There it is. Like, looking at this, you would never tell that it was made 2000 years ago. Look at that. And the coolest thing, look at the tiles, all right? Because the tiles look like, I don't know, in a public toilet somewhere in Warsaw, all right? That's insane. And that is the reason why I always dreamt of going to Pompeii. Like, how crazy is all that? And one thing that also I found amazing, again, look at the tiles on the floor. Shit, yeah, that's the villa. I think I don't remember exactly, but it fucking looks new. It looks like, especially that one on the right in the doorway. That one looks like it was laid yesterday by Uncle Valera and Uncle Fedor, two Ukrainian Hutsul immigrants, all right, who lay tiles. It looks so modern. I would never believe. I would never believe myself. It's insane. And another thing that I found interesting is that, for example, what year did you go there? Literally 2024 in summer. They could have swapped a bit. Actually, yeah, that's the only thing that I noticed. Yeah, they could take a vacuum cleaner and just, make sure everything's in order. But another thing I found fascinating is the furniture, because, for example, if you check out the furniture found in Egyptian tombs, in Egyptian pyramids, if you saw images of furniture, for example, found in Pompeii, like very, very ancient furniture, and we're talking about closets, cabinets, all right, things like that, beds, okay? If you look at modern furniture, in most cases, you may probably notice that every piece of furniture you have in your house has legs, okay? Like cabinets, like beds. Most of the furniture has legs. The furniture found in Egyptian pyramids that dates back like 3,000 years ago also has legs. And it's crazy. And when you look at the Roman furniture and Greek furniture, if there's something found, same stuff, it has legs and it looks modern. It looks as if it was made by Ukrainian gypsies in like Mukachevo, for 50 hryvnias. It looks modern, absolutely. How cool is that? And then there is a question, why would they make furniture with legs? And generally, let me know if you know this one. Why our furniture has legs? Legs keep the bugs off. How exactly? I'm getting ready to pop some Prosecco. Are you approaching the new year or have you already celebrated it? Yo, hello my friends. Happy New Year to you too. When I wash my dog, my bathtub has legs. But generally, what prevents water damage? But the legs also get damaged by water. For example, if you have, which I'm sure you do, furniture at the kitchen, if you were ever flooded or in the area of your sink, there's always some piece of your furniture, and especially the legs, that are like bulky, that became, inflated due to the water and moisture. Less materials to make it with legs. But legs are the material. Like you can literally build a closet or a cabinet on the floor without legs. But you still have those legs. Why? Much easier to clean under. But again, if it just stands on the floor, you don't even need to clean under because nothing gets underneath it. It's a mystery, all right? I look fresh. I took a nap. I actually woke up like 11 p.m. because of all the fireworks and everything else. Yo, Silver Earth! Hello, my friends. Hello, Happy New Year to you too. Much hugs and love and respect. We were talking about my trip to Italy. It was freaking insane. Spiders. Maybe, yeah, maybe that's the reason why stuff has legs. Literally, to accommodate spiders. Dust and spiders still get under there. That's true. On the other hand, if you have a carpet with a cabinet resting on the carpet, there might be some like microscopic spiders, but there will be no dust because it's sealed, all right, by the carpet. So I have no idea. I vote flush to the floor. Let me know if you have anybody who builds furniture. Please ask them, because this is something that I still cannot understand. This is a mystery I cannot resolve, right? Why the furniture has legs? The bed I can see, all right, because usually we can use that space underneath the bed to store some shit. I have no idea. Also, it's been more than 2 hours since I started eating this yogurt. I've been thinking Spider Investigation Team would be a great YouTube channel. Spider Investigation Team. That would be the only channel that Ali would not be moderating, my friend. Something tells me. I've chased New Year first to see sunrise to sunset here in New Zealand, coast to coast, on my motorcycle. One day I'll do it again. That is insane. Coast to coast. That's amazing, actually. Which country is wider in terms of coast to coast? Ireland or New Zealand? Sleeping in Germany yesterday was impossible. I still hear the shooting. They're still throwing grenades out there, Ellie is ranting about spiders. Yeah, I just deleted that video of a huge spider that I noticed the other day here on the electric socket. I made a video the other day. You saw it, some add-on review in the Microsoft Flight Simulator, and the dude was literally hanging out on the electric socket. I don't like spiders myself. Back in the times of the dinosaurs, the spiders were actually huge. And if you're a man, for example, you can stroke your leg, all right? And that would be the feeling of stroking a leg of an ancient spider. The feeling would be exactly the same, like all that hairy stuff. Yeah, so they were absolutely nasty back in those days. That's some crunch yogurt. Yeah, it comes with oranges. That's what I like to do. I'm usually cutting oranges, all sorts of fruits and grapes and stuff. Just drop it into the bowl and add yogurt, and it tastes fantastic. And that is something that keeps me in the good shape. Do I have nuts? No, I don't have nuts in my yogurt. Luckily. They stayed in Australia, the spiders. Yeah, I can see that. So the legs are for stability. But isn't it more stable if it rests on the bigger area, all right? If the mass rests on the wider area. And also, if you put a cabinet on the legs, you raise its center of mass, all right? Which makes it even more stable. Even less stable, I mean. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Nuts are there, but not in the yogurt. Happy New Year to California. California, one of my favorite states in the United States because of the way people speak. Like Californians have very interesting local way of pronunciation, you know, like swallowing the end of the words. Which is kind of cool. And they have like the relaxed and laid back way of pronouncing those words. It's really interesting. Am I still playing music? I still have like the capacity of playing music, but I don't do it these days, these months, because I don't have time, and also, which is even worse, I don't have inspiration, unfortunately. How's 2026? Feels exactly like 2025. I tell you that. Not much changed. Spiders are cool. Orb viewers make sure amazing webs. Oh yeah. I can tell. One time I had to stick my head into this freaking web back in the days. I worked with a guy. We were installing like those roller doors, those huge ones, into like hangars and stuff. And there was, I had to like attach something like up there, all right? Like 4 or 5 meters above the ground. So I took a ladder, I went all the way up, and I had to attach this stuff like immediately just below the level of the ceiling. And there was a lot of web because in many years while this hangar was utilized, nobody cleaned it. And the only way to do that would be to freaking stick my head into the spider web. And it was so tough, it was so solid, so rigid, you know, because after years there was a lot of dust accumulating on that web, making it thicker, all right? And considering the fact that I don't really enjoy contact with spiders, it was one of those moments, all right? OCT, yay! Nothing changed. I'm still watching Ukrainians on YouTube. Absolutely, it's like everything is the same. Nothing changed at all. We say dude a lot. Yeah, that's also something that I noticed. But how polite is it to say dude? I mean, for example, to an older person. Orb weavers catch flies. Yeah. That's. And by the way, Northern Chimp, it's the strongest threat on Earth. I know for sure because I've seen the study. It's also on the YouTube. You can also check it out. The spider web is actually stronger than the steel. Family reunion, absolutely. We are spending pleasant time here, on different sides of screen, but always together. If you say dude in an angry way, it makes you look real dumb. Really? When I was a teenager, me and a group of friends were in the basement smoking stuff. Nobody noticed, but the entire rafters above us covered in cobwebs. One of them lit it. It immediately... Oh, shit. '25 was not a good year for humanity. '26 looks bleak too. We may yet see the African civil wars cost more lives than World War II. That's something I agree with, all right. And today I was chatting with my friends in Telegram, and I said that, for example, Ukraine, Taiwan, Baltic countries, and Africa, and Latin America, all right? We will see a lot of things happening there. So who knows? My dear friends from North Rhine-Westphalia, maybe at some point we'll be sharing a cozy bomb shelter together, all right? Dude is a normal greeting in Colorado. Mm-hmm. If you have no legs on the furniture, the floor must be perfectly level and flat. Let me think about this. I want a pizza. I also want a pizza. I want it very, very much. I would trade this yogurt for anything else, especially pizza. So let me think about this. If you have no legs on the furniture, the floor must be perfectly level and flat. Could be the case. Could be the case. On the other hand, the same stuff with the legs, because there's only 4 points of contact. With the bigger area, there's many more points of contact with the surface. So I cannot really tell. Олів'є. Тарас, це не олів'є, це йогурт, який заекспайрився 2 дня тому. Але на смак іще нормальний. От. Я накришив туди... Трясся, забув рідну мову. Я накрушив туди апельсин, залив йогуртом, і в принципі воно окей йде. І я його їм вже 2 години поспіль. I'm in Canada. We've been on the naughty list for about 10 years. We're a national security threat since 2018, according to Trump. At least you don't eat dogs and cats, all right? At least you're not like Haitians. Can you adjust the legs? On the modern furniture, you kinda can. On like ancient furniture, who knows? It's hard to say. Why is he speaking Japanese now? I'm just practicing. Enjoy spaghetti with tomato sauce with salmon and mushroom plus Spanish red wine. Oh my god, you remind me of that amazing mushroom soup in the Odessa restaurant in Dresden. It was just perfect, you know. I never enjoy soups, but this one was worth my admiration. Legs create 4 stable points. Put a flat board on the uneven floor, it will always rock. Well, that's something that I'm not sure about. For example, I have some furniture on the kitchen. Actually, all the furniture on the kitchen that doesn't have legs, and it's perfectly stable all the time. It's heavy as fuck, and it's always stable because the bottom surface of that furniture, it bends acquiring the shape of the surface it stands on. So, hi from Canada, yo. I hope everything's fine. So I don't know. The full surface, in my opinion, is always better because, especially if it's a heavy furniture, the bottom surface of the furniture will always acquire a shape of the surface it stands on. It's not stone. Usually it's wood. All right, wood is soft, so. On one hand, of course, the one explanation that I can find is that it's easier to move furniture with legs rather than furniture without legs. All right, because you can grab it from below easier. And Starsky, just ask ChatGPT. My friend, you are genius. Seriously, you are genius. Let's ask ChatGPT about this because the dude knows the answer 100%.
Hey there, great to have you here.
Thank you so much. Oh, wise ChatGPT, full of ancient wisdom and knowledge and stuff. I have almost more than 200 friends and family there in the chat, and we're having a conversation. Happy New Year, by the way. And I wonder, why does the furniture have legs? For example, if you compare the ancient furniture that is found in Pompeii or in like Egyptian pyramids, it has legs just as modern furniture. The cabinets, the closets, and the beds always have legs. At the same time, we assume that it's not for the stability purpose because the flat bed or like the furniture without legs has more contact with the surface it's located on. So can you please tell us, can you please shed some light on this mystery and explain why the furniture has legs?
Absolutely, and Happy New Year to you too. And hey, with a chat that big, that sounds like a real party going on. So, about the legs on furniture, you're totally right that it's not just about stability. Even though you could have a piece of furniture just sitting flat on the floor, having legs has a lot of practical perks. For one thing, It's about cleanliness and airflow. When furniture is raised up on legs, it's a lot easier to keep the floor clean underneath. You can sweep or mop under it, and it doesn't trap dust. And a long time ago, especially in places like Pompeii or Egypt, it also helped keep things safe from any little critters or moisture that might be on the ground. So it's kind of a mix of tradition, convenience, and a bit of style because let's be honest, sometimes it just looks nice to have a piece of furniture with a bit of elevation. So that's the gist of it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for shedding the light. You answered the question. I literally know the main reason why they have legs. So have a great day or night or wherever you are, and Slava Ukraini.
You're absolutely welcome. I'm really glad I could help you out with that little mystery. And hey, thanks for the kind wishes. Definitely appreciate it. Take care, and Slava Ukraini.
So that's the answer. My friends, the main reason the furniture has legs is because of rats and mice. It's literally because of rats and mice. That I guarantee. That's the main reason why we have legs on the furniture. How cool is that? Who would have thought? I never even thought about it because it's absolutely logic. In the cabinets, they usually would store grain. They would usually store some kind of food, bread, whatever. And that is why they have it. Or, for example, the beds. When you go to bed, you don't really want to wake up next to a Mickey Mouse and his whole family, right? Sleeping next to you cozily. So that is the reason. Airflow, exactly. Airflow, yes, it's important, but I think the biggest reason is, of course, rats, mice, dogs, cats, all that stuff. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so cool. And we had that thousands of years ago. That is insane. Ask ChatGPT why Jesus hasn't come back. I think it's because it's really hard to acquire visa to the United States these days. He'll be like, I came here to save the world from Satan. They're like, piss off, deported to Galilee. If the mice are warm, then I'm cool with it. Usually they are. Usually they have a bit higher temperature than us. Have a cat. Yeah, that's a good solution. And that is the reason why they usually had cat. But sometimes cat would be outmatched, all right, in terms of the number of the enemies. So mice are also smart. They also sometimes use the tactics of distraction. So why would Jesus want to come back to the US specifically, where his worst behaved fan base? But you have, for example, Mormons, the Mormon book. Everything is legit. Like Jesus was already there. Jesus is occupied 100%. I think that Jesus is busy starring in the South Park. All right. I will never get in. I'm against Trump. I don't know what to say about this. MAGA, that stands against immigrants and yada yada. I think they should be treated the same way. On the other hand, it reminds me of this absolutely amazing joke about why there's no fence around a cemetery. Even Jesus would never get into America. Absolutely. They check his photo in the ID and like, dude, no way you're getting here. You don't look like a Christian, Jesus. If Jesus returns in 2026, they would deport him to El Salvador, to that concentration camp with alligators. But Jesus can actually cheat because he can walk on the water. I agree with this. Due to people like Michelangelo and Da Vinci, we all think that Jesus is, like a blue-eyed guy with light brown hair who looks like his best friend Vittorio, all right, from like Venice. Venezia, which wasn't always the case. It's so interesting, by the way, when you look at the Renaissance images, especially early Renaissance images, paintings, and you see, for example, crucifixion of Christ like carries his cross, escorted by literally Deutschlandsknechts, with like those Zweihänder swords, wearing medieval armor. And that's something that always fascinated me when I was a kid, and I looked at that. And I'm like, why are they wearing such a strange armor, Because, like, obviously there were no Landsknechts back in those times. Yeah. Or like musketeers, all right? Musketeers escorting Jesus to the cross. What the hell is that? Roman soldiers wearing medieval helmets and stuff. That's always really, really cool. That reminded me, in Soviet times, they wanted to make that movie about the World War II, the great patriotic war of the Soviet people against German Nazi. So, because they need a lot of people usually during such shootings, during such movies, sometimes they would go, for example, to a military base, all right, because there's a lot of military personnel that can literally just wear uniforms and participate, all right? Like they're real military. They know what to do. You don't even need to teach them how to behave on a battlefield. Just scream "Ura" and run forward. And they went to the military base back in the Soviet times, and they said, all right, we need 2 companies of soldiers. One company will be Soviet soldiers, and the second company will be Deutsche, all right, German soldiers. And the command found 2 companies of the guys. They wore their uniforms, and the movie makers examined both companies. For example, the company that was supposed to portray Soviet soldiers all the guys are like this, standing lined up, all like, shaved, like look properly, all right? All of them 100% white, all like this. Then they examined the company that was supposed to portray the German soldiers in the movie. Kazakh, Buryat, Kalmyk, Chukcha, They're like, okay, I think they gotta switch places. Because they specifically decided that the ones who would portray, like Soviet soldiers should look perfect. And that is why they all actually looked, 100% white, Eastern Europe, like generally, like the people in our part of the world. And the German soldiers that were supposed to be portrayed there, all sorts of the national minorities that were populating, that were conquered, all right, by the Soviets. So yeah, that was kind of fun. Jesus was an astronaut. The voice from the cloud couldn't be an astronaut because there's vacuum in the outer space and the sound doesn't travel well. But he could have used a drone, for example, like us, like we send a drone to the Russian positions, and the drone says, "Ruski Vanka, give up. You will receive proper food, warm clothes, access to the Red Cross, and stuff." Christians should go to the synagogue to learn about Jesus. So, I think I already told this joke one time, but a Jewish man goes to meet his rabbi and says, "Rabbi, I have a problem. My son got baptized." The rabbi is like, "Oh, okay, that's a problem. Let me consult with our main guy, all right? Let me consult with him, and tomorrow I will tell you what exactly to do." And the next day, the Jewish man comes to the rabbi and is like, "Did you ask the God, like, what should I do now?" He's like, "I asked him, but apparently he has the same problem." In Russia, they still feed an army of people on a single loaf of bread. If they have bread, my God, I've seen so many videos. Like every single video of a Russian terrorist nagging, all right, about being sent somewhere and abandoned and stuff. They all say that they don't have food and water, and literally command is like promising to bring them something, but they kind of don't give a shit about it. Which is probably one of the reasons why the orcs are looting so much, all right? Because they invaded a country and their command doesn't provide them with the food, so they have to loot. Which, if they remained in the terror Russia, right, in their freaking motherland, they would not have such a problem. Religion doesn't start wars, people who want more real estate do. Yes, and again, here we can see an interesting case of how propaganda actually works, all right? Because point at any religion. Islam, Christianity, Zoroastrianism, whatever, Buddhism, of course, Zen Buddhism, Japanese Buddhism. Every religion teaches you to basically respect other people, live in love, don't commit shit, all right? And religions, if you take a closer look, they can basically work as a sort of legislation, all right? Don't steal, don't rape, don't misbehave, all right? So every religion is similar, all right, in this very regard. They all teach you how to be a good person. What it takes to make people to use religion as an excuse to kill other people, all right? Because at some point you notice somebody saying, our God is better than your God, piss off, and they just attack each other. It was popular fucking 1,000 years ago, all right? And if we take a closer look today, it's still popular. Why? We live in 2026 and there are still people who think that our God is better than your God, all right? Or like, we have the same God, but we speak Russian, that is why piss off. Our religion is better than you, even though technically it's the same. So far that 2026, and we still have to discuss, the wars of religions as if it's still a thing, which it is. Dudes are looking outside to other planets. People are trying to understand how to compress and expand the space to travel faster than light. At the same time, some fucktards think that they are chosen because they believe in this, while other people believe in that. That's absolutely freaking pointless, in my personal opinion. If I have faith, I have faith. If I have faith and you have faith, we have faith. But the instant I make religion, you don't have faith unless you do it my way. Yes, that's what I'm saying. When we have, for example, meeting of different chaplains, all right, in the Ukrainian army, we have such events regularly taking place. All right, different chaplains meet together and discuss stuff, and of course, there's Christian chaplains, Christian Catholic chaplains, Muslim chaplains, all sorts of them. I didn't see much Buddhist chaplains in Ukrainian army though. Yeah, but I definitely saw Christian and Muslim. And when they meet up, they often discuss stuff, but I know because I've been there. I've been to such meetups. And when they discuss stuff about religions, they usually ask why do you do that? Why do you do that? They're interested to learn something new. And I think that's the way it's supposed to be. If you believe in God, right? If you believe in things like Holy Spirit, all right, Jesus Christ, or the great prophet, or whatever. If you believe in that, most probably the best thing you can do is to get like best practices, all right? Share best practices, because sharing best practices always makes us evolve. And you meet other folks and you ask, like, what's the secret of your success? And they say, for example, we don't work on Saturdays, all right? Or we do work on Saturdays. And you're like, that's interesting. And you try to apply this, for example, to your religion, and then check if it works. How cool is that? Best practices are the answer. Maybe I'm wrong, of course, right? We always try to snatch the best practices, for example, in terms of technologies, because if you take a look at Chinese aircraft, at Chinese fighter jets, you'd probably think, shit, that stuff looks like F-35, all right? All fighter jets today, Russian fighter jets, Chinese fighter jets, they all look like F-22 or F-35 for some reason. We all like snatching technologies. We all like, copy-pasting the science because it's important. But why don't we like to acquire the best practices in terms of religion? If you have technology, you understand, for example, you understand that technology always evolves. Whatever is trendy today will be forgotten tomorrow, because tomorrow new discoveries, new inventions will be made. And you always evolve, all right? You're trying not to tail behind, all right? But why religions don't evolve, considering that we live in 2026? All successful people also work on Sundays. Yeah, they do. That's why the wheel has always been the wheel. The concept, yes. But if you look at the wheel, for example, on the bike that you have on your user picture, and compare it, for example, to the wheel used at the wagon, in 17th century, made of wood, you'd probably understand that they're like completely different things, built for different purpose. The idea of human putting themselves between other humans and God is almost the opposite of spirituality. It's a way to control people. Yeah. Chaplains are cool in the army, actually, because chaplains like to talk. If something bothers you or whatever, you talk to chaplain. They're your guys. And why they're cool in the army? Because in the army you only have one commander, all right? You have like the commander of the brigade, not Vatican, not whatever you say. And that's the way it's supposed to be, because generally priests and people of religion, they are supposed to be the ones who help us find a way, help us when we feel anxious or whatever. It's literally their job to help us when we come to them with our problems, all right? And make our problems their problems. It's their job that they volunteered to, all right? And that is the reason why humans, why the people are those who actually start the wars, not religions, but the humans. Ukrainian imam, coolest dude ever. Yeah, I know Mr. Saeed. We were friends for many years on Facebook, and he's actually one of the coolest imams. They're kick-ass, absolutely. What will the orcs use after they burn through their horses? They have moose, all right? I believe there was like, I'm not sure if it was like a fake or was it like a real one, but at some point they considered, back in the Soviet times, they considered utilizing moose and deer as a mean of transportation. Why can't folks just behave themselves and stop wanting other lands and stuff? Because we should admit that some people are just evil, all right? And evil, unfortunately, just like stupidity, evil has no borders, evil has no limits. I saw his videos talking to Muslim POWs. Yeah. Will they use bears next? Maybe they will use, that robot idol, right? For transportation. The robot idol pushing a wagon. Or more poor than others. I wouldn't say so, because being poor doesn't always justify being evil, all right? There's a lot of very, very rich people that are still very evil, okay? I'm not even gonna name the names. You can't ride even a big red deer, their backs are not bred for it. We had horses as cattle for several thousand years before we started riding them, yeah. That's a fact. And by the way, we used horses not only for riding them, but also for eating them. And I gotta admit to my guilty pleasure, because I know that it's wrong, all right? But you know that I cannot live without meat. And sometimes you have that, like dried meat, like all sorts of snacks sold in the grocery stores. And sometimes they also sell the horse snacks. Which is not something I do often, all right? The last time I had it like 2 years ago in Kyiv. It was marked as halal, all right? I'll eat anything. Starsky ate Bambi. What's the Imam's name? Said Ismailov. Said Ismailov. Yes, that's him. Horse flesh is good, not half as fat as cow, but it tastes really, really good. So we had beef snacks, and those were my favorites, like beef jerky. That's what you call it. Beef jerky were really good. And I cannot find anything similar in Germany, unfortunately. But in Ukraine, we have them. They're very popular. They were also so expensive for some reason. I don't know why. Never liked jerky, smells like dog treats too. Dog treats are nice. The ones with like veggie sauce, and rabbit, they're fantastic. Exactly what Abigail Disney stated in recent interview. Extreme wealth with some is almost like a mental disorder, like hoarding is. Extreme wealth. Yeah, I think that it might spoil someone, but it also depends on what kind of person you are, the way you were raised, all right? Because we have different example of many different wealthy people that invest, for example, in measures for fighting climate change or preservation of wild nature, Amazonian forests. Look at majority of organizations, right? National Geographics, or what was it, like Discovery, whatever. Greenpeace, all those who fight for preservation of the nature, all right, wildlife. Documentaries about wildlife, again. In most cases, they're all founded by and financed by just wealthy people who understand the necessity to save the wildlife on Earth. So some of them are okay, because it always depends on what kind of person you are, I think. Aha, so look for Castle Ribham. I'll keep that in mind. I'll make another highly technical screenshot for this one, just to remember, all right? Yeah, I'll check it out. Did I ever try crocodile? I gotta admit that I did. My friend Jeff one time sent me several packs of jerky. One of them was, oh my God, alpaca, and the other was a crocodile, like crocodile snack. And I ate it, and only then I read the label, and I'm like, tastes nice. And then I read the label, it says that it's like literally some freaking alligator, So it was good, but it was very, very spicy. Seriously, the next day I woke up, I went to the bathroom, and my rear wasn't happy. Yeah, that's a dark one. Yeah, I ate beaver, then I got addicted to it. Absolutely, especially considering that if you want to save the forest, you gotta eat the beaver. Crocodile snack, the gazelle. Literally snack made out of crocodile. And it wasn't bad, but it was too spicy for my taste. I don't mind, the spicy food, but that was just too much. It's basically like vodka, because when you drink vodka, there's nothing like taste, all right? There kind of is, but what your taste receptors are feeling is literally just 40% spirit, and that's all. While if you drink sake, for example, the Japanese sake, there is 10 or 20, I think like 10 degree, 10% rice beverage, rice wine, sometimes they call it rice vodka. You can actually feel the taste, and that is why I prefer sake so much, because like literally I would drink it. I would drink it even today if I say that I don't consume alcohol. I would easily drink sake just because it's tasty. My taste receptors prefer Irish whiskey. Supposedly had hurt after sake. Yeah. Um, I don't know. I tried different sorts of sake in my life, with sushi, of course, and it tastes really nice. You can easily drink it like wine, and when you drink vodka, always you gotta eat something or drink something after taking a shot, because it's just too it's just too disgusting. Sake, you can just enjoy it like a beer. I had alligator but not croc. It was the worst of dried tuna, and whatever that whale they kill in Iceland is called. I'll take pig any day. Same here. Specifically if it's like, for example, what you call it, not bacon, but the it's smoked pork. Shit. I gotta do something to my memory because it starts to scare me. Prosciutto, for example, like that stuff. It's really good. But my friends, I'm looking at the clock here. It's like 5 a.m. and I didn't expect this stream to be so long, but frankly speaking, I had a lot of joy and a lot of pleasure. I'll be slowly, drifting towards the bed. And to my surprise, I still have like a whole cup of coffee, which is so cold, so you can literally ice skate on top of it. But it was a pleasure, and guys, always good shit. I'm almost like sleeping. I keep losing the words. Always good to have pleasant conversation with you. Always great to share the screen, all right, because I'm on this side and I'm sure that you guys are on the other side, and we are always together whatever we do. So I wish you all a happy new year. We'll see you next time, maybe in a couple of days, all right? We'll see based on the updates. But thank you so much for celebrating with me. It was a privilege, and also big thanks to everyone that I shared my memories with, my photos and stuff. I'm looking forward to the day when we'll be sitting offline somewhere in the pub and literally doing the same, only, showing pictures on our phones. Okay, and I'll be able to hear and see your stories as well. So thank you very much. Big thanks to all the moderators. Big thanks to all the members of the channel. Please check out the link in the description regarding the Rubizh Brigade. It's very, very important to me, as you probably know. Happy New Year. Take care. Be safe. Be healthy. Treat yourself with something good, of course. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.